a kiss and have you coming back for more for what's between them hips. Call a dirty martini, gotta sip it slow. Gotta slow this thing down, don't wanna hurt myself. Cause this woman's so good, she might be bad for my health. I don't do the chitter chatter, don't kiss and tell. Trying to get you all to myself, good God. Baby, you fit that description, and I just can't pay attention. You give my heart a cardiac, I might arrest your ass. Trying to get you in the bed. You're the bad motherfucker. You're the bad motherfucker. Give my heart a cardiac, I might arrest your ass. Trying to get you in the bed, good God, yeah. Put your hands together one time.
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, yeah. She's a dirty martini. Yeah, yeah. Dirty martini. Yeah, yeah.
Dirty martini.
You don't get the label black sheep without doing something to earn it. Black sheep aren't bad, they just stand out from the crowd. They look at the status quo and say, we can do that better. And that's exactly what we do.
Big move down the inside for the
Oh,
lead
Laura,
from
Eli takes the lead.
This is going to come down to the finish. Kyle almost side by side, but a good exit will give Laura Eli the win here overall in the first round of the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What?
WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Well, it seems fitting that we would celebrate America's birthday and come to a track where it was used as the U.S. Grand Prix for many, many years. Watkins Glen International certainly will give us a lot of action here in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America by Yokohama. I'm Joe Peak with Ryan Marine, and we're joined by Carrera Cup driver Alex Sedgwick for today's Cayman race. Alex, thank you for joining us up in the booth. You actually have some pretty happy memories from here recently. You got your first win at this track.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's nice to be back at Watkins, and for sure, we had a pretty good weekend here. A week and a half ago. It feels like I've been here forever recently. But yeah, excited to watch the Cayman race now, see how my Rafa Racing by JDX teammates get on, and should be a good one.
Yeah, and that team has been doing quite well, Ryan. Qualifying is over. They're on their pace laps right now, and I imagine with them having two drivers in the top three on this start, they're looking at another good finish.
Yeah, certainly that's what they're looking for. Ian Porter's had a great start to the season. He's been the dominant force in the championship to this point, but Carolyn Conda continues to come on strong as she gets more and more used to racing these Caymans with the rear-wheel drive after, an experience coming from touring cars. But it's been a busy stretch for Rafa Racing. They were just over at Spa in Belgium last weekend. I was there with them, and it was a fun weekend for them for sure, racing in the GT4 European Series. From one classic track to another, Spa to Watkins Glen, it's a pretty good deal for that operation. And Rafa Martinez, the man behind it, he was racing over there in Spa. He's racing here this weekend too, and he's been doing pretty well so far. Looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Well, they're heading up towards the backstretch, so we might as well give an opportunity to go through our starting grid for today's race. And, of course, up on the pole for this one, as it has been for much of this season, Ian Porter starting from the front with Nick Schaefer next to him. Nick on his last race of the season this season, trying to take his first win. Caroline Conda will be in P3 with Elaine Scalzo in fourth position. That completes row 2 for today's race. Then you've got Lonnie Unser starting in P5 and Michael Clark in the 6th position. Bill Finnick with an excellent qualifying for himself, going to be starting in the 7th spot as Chris Hutter started off the weekend a little bit frustratingly with some damage, but managed to put himself into 8th. And then, Ryan, we've got row 5 with Woody Witchard and Tom Kopczynski.
Yeah, quite right. Good qualifying effort there from Tom. Certainly one of his best of the season. Sean McCaig starts in the 11th spot alongside Roland Crines. Roland's been pretty happy every time I've seen him so far this weekend. Row number 7 belongs to Joe Rizzo, coached by Spencer Pompelli, and Jim Johnson, who's got a special new patriotic livery on his race car here this weekend, celebrating the release of a new song that he's produced. We'll talk more about that as the show goes along. Rob Trollinger and Rafa Martinez starting in row 8, 15th and 16th, respectively, on the grid. Row 9, Paige Morales and Joe Petkis starting 17th and 18th for the first of 2 races this weekend. And Thomas Kerr starts out back by himself in the TPC Racing Cayman.
We're going to be going shortly here, and they'll start packing up out of Turn 8 as we watch from the Yokohama blimp. With your expertise at this track, what advice would you be giving the drivers, Alex?
I think to start with here, it's all about just situational awareness. You have a lot of space at turn 1, a huge runoff zone, but that bottlenecks very quickly into the S's. So especially if you're on the outside line, have to be super careful, especially if you're using all of that space, that you're rejoining safely, running side by side up through the S's, you're giving enough room, and trying to be fast and safe and in a good position by the time you get to the bus stop.
Expecting definitely drivers to have a little bit of pack racing here with how swift this track is. You can see them in beautiful rows coming around the final corner towards the start-finish line, looking for that start zone as they wait patiently for the call from the flag stand. Ian Porter and Nick Schaefer, and it's a long wait as the green flag is out, and they plunge down towards the 90. It looks like it's a very good start from Ian, but he leaves the door open. Here comes Nick Schaefer down the inside into the 90. Question is, can he get the run off of it, as they're going to be neck and neck, Ryan?
Schaefer is desperate for that first win. He was able to lunge up the inside and get side by side. This is a tough place, especially on cold tires, to make that work. And Porter, deciding discretion is the better part of valor, slips back in line, but that's left him vulnerable. Here comes his teammate, Carolyn Conda.
Conda trying to size him up. Can she manage to make the pass, get into P2? She's been looking to try and beat him all season long. Has not been able to do so quite yet. Oh, and we have a wreck into the inner loop. It looks like Schaefer is off, and it seemed as though maybe Porter was involved in some fashion.
Well, we'll have to take a look and see exactly what transpired there, but the good news is it does not look like Schaefer made any hard contact there, if any at all, with any kind of barriers. He's able to continue on. For now, Porter does lead the race. Looks like Conda slipped back into third overall. That's Alan Scalzo in a backup car. Remember, he crashed his primary earlier in the weekend, putting in a really good run, leading in class and up to second overall.
If Scalzo can stay there, it'll be... I think his first win of the season, if I'm seeing correctly. I think he's had 2 third places so far. And, man, he is going to be eager to try and see if he can put some distance between himself and Michael Clark, who he has been chasing in the points championship. But Michael is second in those Masters. Look for the yellow boxes you can see on the left-hand side of your screen for who is in the Masters. Meanwhile, the white boxes for the Pro-Am sees Porter leading Conda with Lonnie Unser. Did she move into third on this one, as a few of them go side by side into the penultimate turn?
Yeah, I think Lonnie would be up to third in class at the very least. Did a good job keeping her nose clean, and actually, by and large, so did the rest of the field. But the big question is, what happened going into the inner loop with potentially contact between Porter and Schaefer? 1 lap complete. Carolyn Conda looking to try and get around Scalzo for that second spot overall so she can start to chase down her teammate.
In the melee, looks like Bill Fennick has moved himself into second in Masters, 4th overall. Lonnie Unser on the podium. She's been hungry for them this season with many 4th places and a single podium so far at Circuit of the Americas so far. Look at this run from Conda as she's once again trying to get very close to Alan Scalzo. Now, they are in different classes here, so Alex, I wonder how hard these two truly want to fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone wants to be on the overall podium, right? But Scalzo especially has to think about his own championship, his own win. You know, it works 2 ways, really. He's got a car buffer between his next competitor, but yeah, they don't want to race too hard and hurt their own races for a position that, you know, in the bigger picture doesn't matter too much.
Coming off of the chute, she's still very close to the back of that car. Hasn't quite pulled any moves that we can see yet. But, oh, and just as I say that, down into the toe of the boot, she is going to be able to sneak by. Ryan, I know you were talking to the team, and the team owner, Raphael, was saying that he wanted her to be more aggressive.
Yeah, that's been the refrain over the last couple of weekends starting at VIR. Her pace has gotten better, her confidence has come up, but to see her make an aggressive move like that to make the pass, and you know this, Alex, you're embedded with the team, that's something that they've been waiting to see out of her. Maybe use the bumper a little bit if necessary.
Exactly. You know, she's an awesome girl, she's really nice, but we want less of that nicety on the track, right? So, you know, she did a really good job. That was a really heads-up move, so hopefully she can get her head down now and get up to her teammate.
Well, will we see Porter disappear into pit lane here, because he now has a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. So maybe there was contact between himself and Schaefer, and indeed he's gone into pit lane. Caroline Conda, I believe for the first time, is going to be leading in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America. Scalzo gets bumped up in a second, and Phoenix will be in third.
Wow, that's a tough break there, obviously, for Ian. It didn't look like anything malign, but it definitely did have an ill effect on the race for Nick Schaefer, who has dropped down all the way to 18th and last in his class. It does look like he is out there still turning laps, but way towards the back of this pack. So certainly costly. If there was contact, that's where you'll see race control get involved in this, I guess, and adjudicate a little bit. That's what they've done, and that puts Carolyn Conda out in front. Like you say, Joe, she's been running in the top 3 a lot this year. To find herself out front, this is a new piece of real estate for her to occupy.
And how cool is this, Alex? We have 2 drivers in the Pro-Am's first and second part of the female racing program here in Porsche Sprint Challenge, Conda and Unser. If we could see a double podium for them, that would be fantastic for that program.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows what Porsche's doing between the female driver program and the junior driver program is working. You know, you saw Bacchus move up to 992 Sprint Challenge. Obviously, Caroline coming in and doing an amazing job, and it's really good to see Porsche getting behind these guys and girls and helping them to push their careers forward.
Let's give a shout as well to Chris Hutter, who now moves up into third in that class. Chris's best finish of the season is a third, and he's another one that's bouncing back. That car suffered some damage earlier in the weekend, but it's been repaired, and he's right back on it, certainly showing good pace, running 6th overall, but potentially in line for a podium, depending on how quickly Ian Porter can recover from his drive-through.
There is Lonnie exiting out of the final turn onto the main straight. She's 4th overall, but as she crosses the line, she will now officially be 2nd in the Pro-Am class. Also, Jim Johnson, I believe, 5th in his Masters class. So that's going to be a good weekend for him to celebrate that new livery if he can hold on to that. Now that Ian has served his penalty, he'll officially drop down as he crosses the line. And it looks like he does come out behind Nick Schaefer. So if Nick was feeling like there needed to be justice, I guess suppose he got it.
Yeah, tough one, though. We know how hungry Nick is to get that win. He's had good pace and limited opportunities, and as we've talked about a few times this season, he's about to head off for a 2-year mission trip down to Ecuador, so he's not going to be in a race car for the foreseeable future. That provides plenty of motivation to try and get the job done here while he has the chance and head off into the next couple years of his life where he's got a higher calling, but with some happy memories in the memory bank.
As we watch from overhead here on the Yokohama blimp, Alex, one thing that strikes me is that Konda looks like she's kind of pulling a bit of a gap now. Do you think she's had strengths in that area of leading? Like once she gets out in the clear air, is she hard to beat?
She's had some really good pace. You know, even through qualifying, she was a bit unlucky with track limits and some other things. So I think she's in a really good spot now where she's not under too much pressure. She can run her pace but still kind of care for her tires and her car a little bit. So yeah, it is on her to just try and maintain the gap. Obviously, two cars in the other class behind her as well, so she's got a good safety blanket. And yeah, it's on her to run her race and make this win happen now.
Just looking down on our tower, I see Rafa Martinez has managed to jump up to 4th in the Pro-Ams as well. It's a whole slew of Masters drivers in the mid-pack there between Kopczynski, Johnson, Wichard, McCaig, Crines, and Rizzo all kind of clumped together, relatively close on track as well. In fact, there is Michael Clark just behind Lonnie Unser, currently running 3rd in that Masters class. Again, not competing with Lonnie for points, but if he wants to maybe try and catch and pass Bill Finnick, he's going to have to overcome that number 4 machine.
Michael's coming off a tough weekend by his lofty standards. The last time out at VIR.
Turn 11, car 7070 was off course drivers left at turn 11.
So,
was that 70, she said? So that would be Nick Schaefer. And
oh no.
Boy, he was right in the middle of the thick of things in his recovery drive. I was watching timing and scoring, and he was in a ton of traffic. This looks a bit more serious than the first incident that we saw that led to the penalty for Porter.
Now, I wonder if maybe there was just something broken on the car, because it doesn't look like he ran into the wall. This is turn 11, which is the final corner. Thought maybe we heard a little bit of race control.
All right, everyone, car 7070 remains drivers left at turn 11.
Haven't thrown the full course yellow quite yet. We've got 25 minutes plus a lap in this race as we hop on board with Jim Johnson. A little bit of dust being kicked up out of the chute as he plunges down into the toe of the boot. Oh, and he goes a little bit wide there, trying to bring the car back in to square it off.
Full course yellow, full course yellow, full course yellow. Car 84, you are our leader. Car 84, safety car speed, please. We are full course yellow, everyone.
There you go. Full course yellow is out. And Caroline will now have the field backed up behind her. This is going to be her first restart from the front of the field. How does she handle it once we go back to racing? Hopefully it should be a quick removal, Ryan, as it does look like he's at an opening.
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long to get that car recovered, but no way to do it with the car still at racing speed going around. I think this really helps Ian Porter. He was 19 seconds adrift, and we know that car is fast. He qualified on pole. This will bunch that field up, give him a chance to make a couple more passes and make his way forward. The problem that Ian is facing is once he gets by Rafa Martinez, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, he still has to make that pass, of course, and Rafa's not going to make it easy. But that is the teammate and team owner, so maybe there will be some cooperation. But he does have a lot of Masters class traffic to get to until he can start to challenge for the podium positions. And Alex, when you race in Carrera Cup, you've got a similar dynamic where if you get shuffled to the back, all of a sudden you're passing cars that are in battles of their own. They're in equal equipment in most cases, but the driver experience level varies, and that's a difficult balance to strike. How aggressive can you be when you're trying to make your way through that pack?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest thing for Ian is it's just a lot of people he's not used to racing around, so he doesn't know kind of what their level of awareness or how much he can trust running side by side with them. We saw at VIR when he started at the back, you know, he made his way through pretty quick, so should be pretty fun to watch, but he's definitely in the danger zone where, you know, he's got to be smart about this. He's leading the championship, and at the end of the day for him, it's just about gaining some points back.
And it's a big weekend for him and for the team. I don't know how much you can speak to this, but I know they've been announcing a new partnership with iRacing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, for sure, and Ian is, you know, the perfect example of what's possible coming from the world of esports, albeit not racing specifically, but he's been using iRacing a lot to get up to speed. You know, I think I don't even want to know the number of hours and laps that he's been doing on a sim, but, you know, he has great pace coming from, you know, next to no experience, so it's really a testament to iRacing and how good sims are these days that, you know, you can use that and translate it really well into the real world.
Do you use that as part of your preparation as well?
I do, yes. Especially coming here the first time last year, you know, all these tracks were new to me. I'd never raced a cup car before, so it was really, really good to, you know, I'm going into a test or a race weekend, especially the Long Beaches and Miamis where you can't go testing, that you've at least seen the track and kind of driven it before you turn up.
So with that in mind, we were talking a little bit off air before the broadcast, as we're still under yellow here. Nick Schaefer's car is being recovered, about your very varied racing career up till now that's led you to Carrera Cup. Would it be correct in saying your only race in the U.S. before you came to Carrera Cup North America was an ARCA race on the Phoenix Oval?
Yeah, so I did that. I did do one sprint challenge race as well in 2022 in a 991, but yeah, it's been a little bit all over the place. My pre-COVID racing career was a lot of, you know, just kind of working to find opportunities, and wherever they came up, I'd go and do it. So I've been very fortunate to do some endurance racing, some single make stuff, a bit of NASCAR here and in Europe, and yeah, now I found myself in a nice fancy GT car. So yeah, it's been fun, but you know, definitely enjoying my time with Porsche and in the 992.
Now, we talked about Ian Porter coming from the back of the field at VAR. That was not the only time. We have to remember at Barber, he had to start from the back as well and managed to come forward. Didn't win that one, granted, but still charged his way up to second. So we have seen him do this, and he does seem to be quite skilled at fighting through the field. I guess I just wonder, at a track like this, most of the drivers seem to have told us that it's very much a track that requires mistakes from the driver ahead to get an overtake.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a fast track, and even in these cars, you know, you have a bit of aero, and there's a lot of things working against you to be able to follow closely and make opportunities. You know, you're carrying so much momentum that you don't have these big accordion effects under the braking, and yeah, your best bet is definitely trying to pressure someone into a mistake or off their line where you can, you know, put them in an uncomfortable position. So Ian has to play that game a little bit here, and there's also maybe in the back of his mind that, you know, he's in this position because of contact going for a pass. So whether that's going to turn down his aggression at all, or if he can kind of still channel what he needs to do to get back up front.
I found it very interesting, Ryan, as we were watching the 70 of Schaefer being pulled away, that large tire mark on the left-hand side of the car, which definitely was a bit of a telltale that, yes, indeed, there was some significant contact there.
Yeah, that does tell the tale, doesn't it? And tough break there from Nick, a really impressive young guy. Another one who comes to this with very limited experience. Went club racing just a few years ago in his native Utah and showed some pace and some competency, and has quickly moved his way forward, trying to pack in as much racing as he can before, as we mentioned, he's going to be off to another continent for the next couple of years. But my understanding is that he and the JTR Motorsports engineering team, they're already hard at work trying to iron out a deal for as soon as he comes back to get back behind the wheel of something, because I think Jared Thomas, who runs that operation, a great driver in his own right, we'll see him later on in the Cup cars, recognizes the talent that he's got on his hands and doesn't want that to slip away.
100%. I mean, it'd be hard to miss the talent that we've been witnessing in this series. Just a bit of a shame that he won't be able to fight for a title or anything. And, well, at least not going to get a win today. We'll see what happens when we come back tomorrow. In the meantime, pace car is in, and Conda has control of the field. Now, can she run away? She goes immediately, and it's a big jump over Scalzo. As she crosses the line, we have 19 minutes plus a lap to go.
I think the battle was just behind this trio. It was Michael Clark looking aggressive, trying to find a way by Lonnie Unser. Lonnie immediately went on the defensive, and it was enough to keep Michael at bay. That's crucial for Michael, who needs to get around her to get to the next two cars in his class. Michael has had a really good start to the year, didn't have the best VIR, and is looking to put that behind him as he continues his pursuit of a championship.
Back down the backstretch once again. It's a long uphill climb the entire way, all the way until you get to the inner loop before things really crest, and not seeing any change for position. Lonnie Unser and Clark still fighting for that fourth overall as they were close coming into that swift chicane. Then it's pretty much all downhill all the way until they get to the toe of the boot.
This is the section that they call the boot. This is the laces, if you will, headed down to the toe. Big downhill plunge that you can't really see from up high like this with our drone shot. But what a great restart from Carolyn. She's been able to pull that gap right away. Alan Scalzo doing exactly what he needs to do in the second spot, but leading within the Masters class. Bill Fennick, I know he's going to be anxious to try and get a move done if he can. He's one of those enthusiastic, vivacious characters, but right now he's coming under some pressure himself from Lonnie Unser.
She took a little bit of a look to the inside, coming down into the heel, but wasn't close enough to try and get that one done. How much does Bill risk things, considering they are not going to be trading points by changing positions, but it also will put him closer to Michael Clark, and that could be a problem. So we'll see which way he decides it as they come around through the penultimate turn once again. Oh, and that's a little bit too wide for Bill Fennick. A mistake as he goes off course. He returns on the inside of the final corner, and that creates a drag race that it looks like Lonnie is going to win.
She does, and she is bringing the next car in line with her, and I think that is Michael Clark going around the outside, carrying a lot of momentum into turn one, and able to sweep around the outside. That was for second in class. Clark around Fennick, and now he sets off in hot pursuit of the class leader, Alan Scalzo.
And brave into the first corner as well, Alex, because I thought for sure Fennick was maybe going to overshoot that a little bit there.
Yeah, agreed. That was pretty bold. You know, there's a lot of banking there, and you always have the safety net of the runoff, albeit a track limits issue. But yeah, really nice move to carry the momentum around the outside there, and yeah, change for position.
Whoa, that was close.
Oh, and a little bit of an off, and it might be Rafa Martinez trying to make out who that is exactly.
Turn 5, it's got car 8 off course.
Car 8, that is Kopczynski.
Car 8 is
He'll return without incident.
Turn 5 is clear.
I think he had someone come across his nose right at the entrance to the inner loop, and that's what had me catch my breath for a moment. That's really a shame. Tom's having one of the best weekends of the year that he's had.
Lap 9. Car 86, lap 9.
Here, the track limits call coming in, first of many, I suspect. Looked like Tom was able to recover from that. Did lose some track position, but that could have been a whole lot worse. It was a close call.
So here's the bad news for Conda. Ian Porter is already up to 9th last time across the line. He may have gotten a couple more after that, including, I imagine, Kopczynski, since he had his off. The good news is for her that track limits means that he's already got the eye of the stewards and needs to mind himself for the remainder of the race. I believe from what they told me, it was 4 incidents. The first 2 are noted. The third is a warning, and the fourth is going to be a penalty.
How difficult is that to manage from behind the wheel where you're trying to judge where your car is relative to a line painted on the track?
It's really tough, especially with how it is where you just have to have 2 wheels on the paint. You know, it's very hard to feel out whether, you know, you're there or not when you're pushing to the maximum. Turn 10 or turn 8, sorry, I find the hardest here, where you're right on the limit and the curb is so small. So that's definitely one that's going to catch a lot of people out.
Joe, real quick, I just noticed Ian Porter coming through. He's up to 6th overall, and he was right on the tail of Chris Hutter in the battle for the 3rd spot. Final step of the podium. That's just ahead of this Jim Johnson car we're looking at here that's running in 8th. It's the orange and white car. You can kind of see just leaving the shot, headed towards the inner loop, and it looked to me like Ian might have been trying to set up a pass, decided to settle back in line here, but he certainly is stalking Chris Hutter with designs on grabbing another podium.
Unlike the previous 5 cars, Chris Hutter is within class, so he has extra motivation. He's on the podium right now. It's going to be difficult to hold back Ian as he's been looking quick all season long. But if I know Chris, he's going to give it his best shot here to see if he can hold on to that top 3. And if he does, I mean, Conda's probably his biggest fan right now.
Without a doubt. She would love to see Ian Porter delayed as much as possible. But quite frankly, I think her pace out in front is good enough. Even if Porter were to get up behind her and there would be a restart. I don't know about you think, Alex, but it seems to me that we've seen her be able to match his pace most often on race weekends so far this year.
Yeah, agreed. Her race pace is really good. She's just always starting a little bit further back and not able to take advantage. So you can see from her lap times here, consistently, about a second or just under a second ahead currently. So as long as she can match this pace, I think even if Ian gets clear air, she's going to be safe.
There we see the battle carrying on. This is for 5th place overall as they dash behind the trees and then reemerge a little bit wide there for Chris Hutter coming out of the final turn. Better grip for the 86, but the momentum is on the side of the 81. They'll fly down into the 90 once again. He's got the inside. Can he finish the job is the question with that banking in that first corner. Smooth move from the orange and white of Ian Porter.
And crucially, he kept the right side tires on the curb on corner exit. I know we heard full course yellow called, and that came at a great time there for Ian Porter, who had just made that pass.
Sounded like turn 9. I know they were talking while I was for a moment.
Turn 9.
Yeah, there it is, turn 9. So
this car is
that is the 83.
Joseph Petkus. Please, thank you very much.
That is, I've always thought, speaking of the sim, because I don't have the real world experience you do, Alex, I have found that turn 9 to be diabolical. I just can't wrap my head around the off camber and the crest and get it right.
Me neither. Yeah, you're coming up to the top of the hill. All of the grip and the load you have from going uphill, you lose mid-corner when you need it the most, right? So it's really easy to get caught out, especially at this point where it's super hot, your tires are going away from you. Yeah, it is a tough one, and it's not like there's, a big wall or anything on the exit and a lot of runoff to make it even worse.
It's definitely one that punishes, even if you don't wind up in that wall. This is from onboard our leader, Caroline Conda, looking for her first win of the season. And she's got Scalzo, who is in a separate class behind her. Lonnie Unser sitting in 3rd overall, but 2nd in the Pro-Ams. Then it's Michael Clark, 4th overall. And now Ian Porter sitting in 5th. And the gap is now going to be diminished after this latest caution. There it is facing backwards. I'd say, and there's a part on the track. I'm willing to bet there was contact, and it definitely looks like it was significant.
I think there's also some fluid down. Is that what we're seeing there? So it could make for a lengthy cleanup with only 11 minutes to go. I'll have to keep an eye on that. In matters that may be of interest only to me, I'd like to point out that our 2 francophones in this race are running 1st and 2nd right now. So Carolyn from France and Alain, who's French-Canadian, they could have a very interesting conversation the rest of us would struggle to understand, I think, at the end of this one.
Do I need to send you down to the podium after this race, maybe? You're the one with the French experience, not me.
No, thank you. Just got back from Belgium, and I learned firsthand just how rusty my French is.
Well, Caroline's English is fantastic, so I'll have a relatively easy time talking to her if she comes home with a win.
How's your French, Alice?
Drivers left.
Comme si, comme ça.
So, yeah, it did look like quite a bit of cleanup is going to be required. I agree with you. That looked like fluids that had been released onto the track. And other than just simply getting the car out of the way, which it's over a tunnel on the track, so there's not any places they could just tuck that car behind a wall there.
And there we do see the truck getting ready to pick it up. They're still going to have to go and clean up all that fluid afterwards anyways. You know, it almost looks like, Ryan, that it looks like he maybe tried to drive it away or something because of the way it's sprayed.
Well, yeah, I was trying to figure out how the fluid was further down the track than where the car ended up, and that is probably the best explanation for it.
And there is big dents in the Armco. Thank you, Alex, for spotting that. You just pointed it out here in the booth. So he must have, I'm guessing, just spun it off to that side, and the rear looks like it took a huge thwack.
Yeah, it looked like from the tire marks and that, it looks like he may have landed in the middle of the track and just tried to pull off to the edge. But yeah, obviously with that much fluid in on the track, it's not going to go very far.
Yeah, there you see that dent in the barrier. That also might require some repair, which could actually shut the track down for the intervening time where they have been having some driver education programs this weekend. So hopefully it can all be fixed as quick as possible so that everybody can get their allotted time in.
Car and field are saying far drivers right at the exit of 9.
Hate to see this for Joe, who's a rookie in the series, driving for RCX Motorsports, coming off of his best weekend of the year, a pair of 8th place finishes at VIR the last time out. But it's what we were talking about at the open of the show. This place will punish you, even if it's not your mistake, and that we don't really know what the genesis of this incident was, but it doesn't take much going wrong to have pretty significant consequences.
Now, the good news is they're wiping that off into the grass, so I can safely assume that is not oil that they're trying to deal with or anything such as that. I'm guessing maybe something from the radiator that came undone, and they're just kind of trying to get that out of the way. So maybe, hopefully, we won't have as lengthy of a caution section as we feared, which is good news for those that want some more excitement, is bad news for Conda now that things are going to get bunched up once again and she's going to have to deal with a second restart. Do you have any idea how much experience she had before coming over to the States dealing with restarts? Were they common over in the touring car series she was in?
I mean, most touring car series are chaos, right? So
it's true.
I'm going to assume that this isn't her first rodeo and she's got a bit of experience, but obviously a very different type of car, you know, a lot of different tire prep and working this car a lot differently to keep the tires where they need to be compared to a front wheel drive touring car. So I think, you know, it'll be interesting to see. She's done it once. Can she get as good a launch again? And if so, I think she's good, but everyone's going to be ready for, you know, her to do the same thing as last time this time around.
The recovery efforts are wrapping up.
So it sounds like they're just about done. Saw them putting a tire up there, it looked like, so must have completely come off the car, unfortunately, which means there's probably heavy suspension damage on whichever corner that came off of. But hopefully this also means that we'll be able to get going and we'll have another restart with what seems to be maybe about 5 minutes plus 1 lap to go, maybe a little bit less than that once we go racing here. And looks like the tow truck has easily tucked that thing away into the pits. So crossing fingers, toes, and eyes, Ryan, that we're getting ready to get restarted.
Well, Ian Porter certainly is. Currently in 5th. He's up to 3rd in class. What a great recovery after that drive-through penalty early on.
Safety car, lights out. You are in this time. Lights out, please.
That's the message he wanted to hear.
It is going to be a mad dash. It definitely looks like it was the rear of that car because the front seems okay from what we could see on our camera shots as they brought Petka's machine back into pit lane. There is the snake of cars heading down into the laces of the boot, getting ready to be released.
Did want to note Ian Porter, when he's had clean air, and there hasn't been much of that for him because he's been coming through the pack, but his best lap time is a 1:57.3. That's only 0.3 off of what Carolyn's been doing out in front all by herself, and it is over a second faster than just about everyone in front of him. So he does have the pace advantage. He needs to get around Michael Clark quickly so that he can turn his attention to Lonnie Unser, and if he can make that pass, he'd be back up to 2nd. He has no finish worse than 2nd all season long, and he would love to keep that streak intact.
I have no doubt about that. But knowing from what I've spoken to Lonnie about, I'm pretty sure she would like her best finish of the season with that P2. I don't think she's going to give that up easily. Let's see how hard she can fight if Ian can manage to get around Michael Clark quickly. We'll find out soon enough, because the pace car now coming out of turn 9 just has a couple more to go. In fact, I expect it to dash away from the 84. There it goes right there. And now Conda has control of the field. She had a good restart last time. I assume she'll time this one out well this time as well. And it was very early before. Let's see what it looks like as she's on the gas, and she is on her way. But Scalzo seemed to be a little bit more savvy to it this time as he held on, but he's actually under threat. And so is Lonnie, as here comes Michael Clark up the inside, almost gets into the rear of Elaine. They're going to go all the way off track there in the mid-pack. I think that was Ian Porter. That's another track limits violation, no doubt.
Well, the question is, was he pushed off, or did he go there of his own volition? That was a bold 3-wide move around the outside. For now, he is ahead of Lonnie Unser, so that was for position in the Pro-Am class. Very, very brave. And now he takes off looking to see if he can clear the last piece of traffic in front of him that's separating himself from his teammate and the race leader, Carolyn Conda, and he's done it. He's around Scalzo, so he is now clear, setting off chasing Conda. But the question is, what will the stewards think of that move?
3 minutes and a lap for Caroline to survive up at the front. Or does she have better speed? She's been looking so good this weekend in comparison to her teammate, Ian Porter. Even if he is able to catch up, then he's got to make that overtake, and it's not much time to do so. They swing around through the toe of the boot. It is still a tight fight back there for third overall, as that Scalzo looking like he's having to hold off the likes of Lonnie Unser still.
Looks that way. So Scalzo is the orange car at the front of this train. Unser's got the purple front end, white rear end of that car, and then she's got a battle for class position, I think, behind her. Chris Hutter is there in the mix. We got Finnick and Johnson and Wichard all mixing it up. They're fighting for the final podium spot in Masters. Still a lot that remains to be settled here with under 2.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go.
This should be 3 to go this time by, actually, as they've got more than 2 minutes left on the clock. They've been running about 1:57s, and indeed, she's going to cross with 2 minutes and about 9 seconds left on this one. Down the main straight, into the 90 once again. It is Conda versus Porter, but the reverse order that they've been for most of this season. We hop on board with the French driver, as she has clear road ahead of her, and she's going to need every inch of it.
Guys, Porter just turned his fastest lap of the race the last time by. That was with all of that traffic. He is flat out flying, and he's got the race leader in his crosshairs. We ride on board with the leader, Carolyn Conda, headed down to the inner loop.
We can see the onboard with a look just behind, and maybe we'll get glimpses of that orange and white machine as she clatters over the curbing there at the inner loop. Now coming around, down through the drop into the chute here. She still holds station as we watch to see how the car is handling into here. Does look like there's a little bit of sawing back and forth at times, but as we jump up onto the Yokohama blimp, Alex, she is holding station. It is the same car lengths we saw down the main straight.
Yeah, she's doing a good job. It looks like Sector 1 is Ian's strength. He took 2 tenths out of her last time by, but she just did the best Sector 2 of the race. So it's a bit of give and take at the moment. If she can hold the gap like this, then yeah, it's going to be hard for Ian to get to her.
What did you learn watching her on board? What kind of car does she have to deal with?
She looks pretty calm. It looks pretty neutral. So for this point of the race where the tyres are at their worst, it looks comfortable, which is obviously always good. So I think it's more about her just focusing forward, not driving in her mirrors too much, and yeah, just keeping focused all the way to the end.
Involving car 83 is under review, or under review.
So incident involving number 83 is Petkis. So maybe somebody else was involved in that wreck. We don't know. 2 laps to go. Just a few seconds remaining on the clock. But remember, Sprint Challenge does it where it is plus 1 lap. So they will get the white flag next time by. This time across.
Next time by.
And there you get
Leader
confirmation
car
from
84, quite fine.
race control. But this time by, Conda set the purple lap. First one to duck under 157.
And Porter followed her through also at a 56.9. The top two ran laps within 72 thousandths of one another the last time by. That's how closely matched they are.
Up through the inner loop. It does look like he is creeping up to her a little bit through this portion. We heard Alex mention that he's good at the first part of the lap, but now they head into the boot one more time. This is where she seems to have it a little bit more under control. For those who are paying attention to the Masters category, we haven't really mentioned, but Scalzo is still our leader over there, and he's got a buffer with Unser between himself and Clark.
And just remember, Scalzo's weekend started with the crash. I shouldn't say it started with the crash. He had a great first practice where he was quickest, but then the second practice there was a crash, and they've had to go to a backup car. Great job by the Scalzo Motorsports team to get that car prepped, ready to go, and Alan's confidence not shaken one bit. He's been super quick here all weekend long, and he's got the points leader Michael Clark behind him in class, but separated by Lonnie Unser. So that's exactly where Alan Scalzo wants him. He's doing a really nice job, and he could be looking at his first win of the year.
His first win of the year. Same thing for Conda if she manages this one. In fact, I think this might wind up being her first win on U.S. soil as well. As she comes around the final turn, white flag is held aloft by the flag stand. 1 to go. She is taking it right up to the edge of the wall. She's wasting nothing.
Checkered flag next time by to your current leader car 84.
Another fastest lap of the race, this time significantly faster. She cut a half a second off of that one, Alex. I'd say she's pushing.
Yeah, she's good. And to do that so late in the race, you know, shows that A, she was probably just managing a little bit earlier and looking after her tires, but she's still got more in the locker for when she needed it.
She was third in the French Touring Car Championship a year ago. When the Rafa Racing Club wanted to put a program together, they organized a shootout for promising young drivers at Circuit of the Americas back last November. She came, she saw, and she conquered at that shootout. By all accounts, she was head and shoulders, figuratively, above the rest. She's rather diminutive in stature, but you wouldn't know it with the way she drives these cars. She's learning all the tracks for the first time. She's learning this type of racing for the first time, and it's always seemed all year long like it was a matter of time until she could put a full weekend together, and she's now just about half a lap away.
To borrow a phrase from my own mother, small but mighty is definitely something to describe this number 84 driver. Conda still holds that handy gap, has not allowed Ian Porter to get closer, still at 1.1 seconds between them. He's holding station. I'm sure he still wants that win, but opportunities have just about run dry. There's only 3 corners left to go for Caroline to get her first win of the season. They exit out of turn 9 now, up and over the tunnel, into the last 2 turns. All she has to do is get these 2 right, and she is home free. It's been a long time coming that she's been trying to beat her teammate to finally break that duck and to get herself her first win. She'll come out of the final corner, and the 84 of Conda is your winner for race 1 at Watkins Glen. Alan Scalzo a little bit down the road, but he is going to get his first win also of the season here at Watkins Glen. He is going to be beside himself on that one. Lonnie Unser gets her second podium, as Michael Clark will also finish P2 in that Masters class. And how about Bill Finnick? Have we seen Bill on the podium, actually? I don't think we have.
Let's find out. That would be, yes, one time. Circuit of the Americas Race 1, his lone podium of the season, but a really good result for him and that RS1 team. Great job by Bill. He'll have a big smile. Well, he always does. I'm not sure it gets any bigger than the one you see on him just any given weekend at the racetrack, but certainly something to be very, very proud of here today. And for Carolyn Conda, the Rafa Racing team, what an incredible result. She's been working hard at this. Today was her day. Great recovery from Ian. Let's not sell him short. I mean, he was basically at the back of the field because of a drive-through penalty, but his pace was spectacular. The racecraft, barring the incident with Schaefer at the beginning, was really good, belied his lack of experience, and I can't wait to see what those two have in store for us tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's gonna be good for the rest of the season between those. I think it's gonna give Caroline a little bit more confidence now that she can go and race without Ian and push that a little bit harder. And yeah, super happy for her. You can see her parents here from France for this one, so good time to do it.
Well, you would know. You got your first win in Carrera Cup here. What does that do for a driver to prove to yourself? You always thought you could do it, but now you know.
For sure, it's just validation. You know, you've been pushing so hard for these moments, and no matter how good you are, it's rare that you win, you know, very frequently. So yeah, it is kind of the first box tick that all your hard work is paying off, and now just have to follow it up with more.
Turn Joe loose. He'll be down for podium festivities coming up in a few minutes' time. Stick with us on the stream for that, of course. We'll stay with you here for a few more moments and go through results, things of that nature. But Alex, I'm curious, a win is special no matter what, but at a track, at a venue with so much history like this one, for many years, the site of the U.S. Grand Prix, NASCAR has raced here, IndyCar has raced here, big sports car races down through the years. To win at a place like Watkins Glen, does that take it up a notch?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it is pretty cool. You know, such a, like you say, a historic venue, one that you know no matter where you're from. So, and one that you have to work for. You know, it's a very difficult track, as we've seen. You know, a lot of things can go wrong here. You don't have a lot of breaks, so yeah, you've really earned it. I think.
Did you go celebrate your win at the Seneca Lodge?
Absolutely.
Good.
We went for like a nice dinner in Watkins Glen town, and yeah, it's been a busy schedule for me between Carrera Cup and then coaching on the Sprint Challenge side as well. So not a lot of time to go celebrate before coming back here, but also nice to see all my JDX team and kind of continue the celebrations and everything this weekend.
Before we turn you loose, where will folks see you next? What's next on your calendar?
So next for me is back to Carrera Cup for Road America, first weekend of August. So looking forward to continuing the momentum, a track we went well at last year. And then the week after that will be the Porsche Endurance Challenge alongside Sprint Challenge with Eric Lapp, who I'm coaching. So the 2 weeks of Road America I'm looking forward to in August.
Yeah, it should be a ton of fun. I'm excited for that one too. Love going up to Road America. Has a lot of the same vibes as this place, actually, in a lot of respect, with so much good history as Caroline's made her way to Victory Lane here at Watkins Glen. Let's look at your provisional race results. First win of the season to Caroline Condup. Alan Scalzo shown in the second spot, and Ian Porter down into fifth. I do wonder, was there a track limits penalty maybe that was levied post-race? Because he finished second on the road, and do you have the answer for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Turn 1, lap 9, car 86. So I guess that was the restart that we saw. And yeah.
So that gets converted to a time penalty that is added post-race, evidently, and so that has dropped Ian from second on the road down to fifth. It only cost him one spot in class. So Lonnie Unser gets her best finish of the season. You see her third there, but that was second in Pro-Am. Porter finishes third in Pro-Am, and I do wonder how much on adjusted time he finished ahead of Chris Hutter. Oh, less than a second. Oh, that's got to be tough for Chris. He was so close to getting up one more spot, finishing on the podium. Even still, Porter's streak of top two finishes comes to a close, but he's still yet to finish off the podium this year in his rookie season of racing, period. It's been a remarkable year for him. Then it's Finnick, Jim Johnson, Woody Witchard, and Roland Crines rounding out the top 10 overall. Well, what did you take away, Alex, from race one of the weekend here today?
It was a busy one.
Yeah.
You know, a lot going on, a few incidents, and yeah, I feel that might be the theme of the weekend really for the races, that we need to keep it safe. We need to stay out of trouble, and you know, from there you're going to be in a good position to have a good result.
Well, Alex Sedgwick, thank you so much for lending your expertise with us up here in the booth. We certainly enjoyed having you along for the ride. Let's take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll check back in with Joe Peak, who will be down with our podium festivities. Race number 1 complete here at Watkins Glen.
You don't get the label Black Sheep without doing something to earn it. Black sheep aren't bad, they just stand out from the crowd. They look at the status quo and say, we can do that better. And that's exactly what we do.
Big move down the inside for the
Oh,
lead
Laura,
from
Eli takes the lead.
This is going to come down to the finish. Kyle almost side by side, but a good exit will give Laura Eli the win here overall in the first round of the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Race 1 of Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman style is in the books here at Watkins Glen, and it's time to celebrate our podium finishers in both the Masters and the Pro-Am classes. So without further ado, let's head down to Victory Lane and Joe Peak.
Thank you, Ryan. Let's get ready to celebrate our Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman Series podium, starting off with the Cayman Masters. Finishing in third, driving the number 15 machine, it's Bill Finnick. Got some special fireworks even here after the 4th of July. Finishing in second, driving the number 17, Michael Clark. And taking his first win of the season in the number 26, Alon Scalzo. Big congratulations, Alon.
Thank you.
you found yourself in the heat of not just your own battle for the win, but the Pro-Am battle was kind of taking place around you. How did that feel, having to deal with both of those at the same time?
Oh, I mean, I didn't have to deal with them very much. They were pushing. They were pushing away. So I was just focusing on not making mistakes. You know, Michael was very close, battling with Lonnie. So I just like focus and don't make any mistakes. And yeah, have a good pace. So it paid. I'm very pleased. Thanks to my crew.
Well, speaking of making mistakes, this was a backup car. I mean, what a recovery. How did you bounce back from that?
I don't know. You have to forget it, and you have to forget what happened and focus and do the job.
You did the job perfectly. Our winner for today's Masters, Alan Scalzo. Let's hold up those trophies for the cameras. And let's spray some champagne. Huge congratulations to our Cayman Masters podium. First time winner this season, and Alan Scalzo. That brings us now to the Apexon Award. Driving the number 88, it's Jim Johnson. The Apexon Award goes to the hardest charger of the race. Jim celebrating his new livery with an excellent run. And that brings us to the Cayman Pro-Ams. Finishing third in the number 86, Ian Porter. Then in second, her best finish of the season with the number 4 machine, Lonnie Unser. And 2 first-time winners, as the number 84 of Caroline Conda is your victor. Congratulations, Caroline. That was an impressive run. You had quite the fight there up at the front on pace with your teammate. But on that last restart, surely you knew that Ian was going to be coming. What was going through your head?
I just have to push and to stay first. Yeah, and if he go just behind me, I have to defend. So yeah, but just push.
We always talk about momentum in racing, and some of it is psychological. Does this open the floodgates for you? Do you feel like this has kind of overcome that hurdle you've been trying to beat?
Yeah, sure. It's the first one, and now I want more. Yeah.
Always wanting more. That's our winner, Caroline Conda, for the Cayman Pro-Am. Let's show off those trophies for the cameras. And of course, why don't we spray some champagne? Congratulations to our winners, podium finishers, and the Cayman Pro-Am. We'll be back later this afternoon for the GT3 Cup Series. Please stick around, tune in on Flow Racing. In the meantime, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.